So glad to see all of you here this morning. I absolutely love the fact that the kids are with us in the service. Kids, as always, if you have any questions, you raise your hand. Adults, you can do that too. I know, I'm weird. Okay. We're all weird here, people. Listen, this is, if you're sort of new to this place, we are the island of misfit toys. Welcome. You belong here. All right, brilliant, good. I got to tell you what happened yesterday. We're working outside, and I was working hard, doing things, and I busted my hand. So if I don't shake your hand, it's not because I don't like you. I will just do elbows or fist bumps or something today. But I have an appointment today at 1 o'clock to take a look at this thing that doesn't look so good. So, I think this is probably the first time ever in my entire life I'm saying pray for my finger. And I will not show you which finger it is. It's this one. Okay, so, okay, brilliant. My friends, what I want to talk about today is something that we've talked about here in the songs, and it's about freedom, and it's about love. But before I get to that, I want you guys to think about this. I want you to think about bait and switch. I want you to think about bait and switch. And bait and switch happens not only in human trafficking or unscrupulous salespeople. When I was ministering back in Romania, so I'm Romanian, I was born and raised there, and then later on we ministered to the country. When we work with young people, we work with young ones, teenagers and children. But one of the young people, one of the ladies there, it was one of those bait and switch situations. Hey, come with us because we're going to give you a better job and better life out in Germany and wherever they promised her. Well, it wasn't that. It was a bait and switch situation. And years later, they were able to find her. And anyway, so bait and switch happens. And the text today talks about the fact that bait and switch, as we know it in the physical realm, has a counterpart in the physical realm, it has a counterpart in the spiritual realms. Do you know that the dark forces, the evil forces, will do the same kind of bait and switch, where they will entice you? They will entice you into something that sounds wonderful, seems shiny, seems great, but over time, it actually ends up to be poison. It ends up to be something that enslaves you. So the dark forces are masters of bait and switch. And we're going to see that in our text today, how those that were held in that bondage of the bait and switch were freed. The text for today is in Acts chapter 8, verses 4 through 8. And what we've been doing up to this point, we've been looking at the book of Acts and just marching through it section by section. And what we normally do when I bring a message is we cover the text in context. After that, we say, well, how does this text, that was an ancient text, it's 2,000 plus years old, how does this text have any relevance to our 21st century world? How do we apply it? And then after that, it's like, well, if we know how to apply it, what do we do about it? Because there got to be something that we can do. And I'm hoping that what we can do, you guys can do this afternoon. It's not something like, oh yeah, I put that in the back of my head and I think about it. And no, this is something we can actually do now. So that's what I plan to do today. Are the Packers playing today? Yeah? No? Tomorrow? Okay, so I can go for a long time? Yeah? No? Yeah? All right, never mind. All right, let's read the text. Acts chapter 8. I'm going to start reading starting with verse 4. And this text comes after the church had an amazing growth. And then there was persecution coming. St. Stephen was martyred. He was killed. And then from that moment in time, just a new persecution started. And you know how it is when persecution starts, you have refugees, right? So they were scattered. And verse 4 says, those who had been scattered, meaning the people that believe in Jesus, who were scattered, they were chased away, preached the word wherever they went. Philip went down to a city in Samaria and proclaimed the Messiah there. When the crowds heard Philip and saw the signs he performed, they all paid close attention to what he said. For with shrieks, impure spirits came out of many, and many who were paralyzed and lame were healed. So there was great joy in the city. So I'll come to the bait and switch part, because this is, bait and switch comes in the form of nice things, but all of a sudden you're in bondage, and we see these people in bondage with evil spirits. But I get ahead of myself. So here's what's happening, my friends. The first thing we see, that as they are persecuted, and as they flee the persecution, as they are being scattered, they remember what their life is all about. They remember their mission. Oh, we are now people that believe in the great King. We have figured out who Messiah is, and not only that, this is the same Messiah who can bring freedom. So let's tell people about it. I mean, can you blame it? I mean, come on, people. What do you do when you find a good restaurant? Dude, I found this amazing place. They have the best ribs. All right, or somebody. You know what I do? I'll tell you what I do. My wife makes great pies. I mean, just bakes the most delicious pies. If you've been blessed by one of her pies, you know what I'm talking about. But by the way, that hot blonde that was here earlier, that's my wife. I call her gorgeous. So in case you didn't know that, okay. So all right, enough of that. So what I say is, like, man, if you've never had pie until you have Jenny's pies. Okay, so it's like that. When you know something is good, when you find something that is an amazing, what do you want to do? You want to go share it. So people that have been on vacation, somebody was on vacation to Disney World recently, and they said, oh my goodness, it was everything that I've ever, like, yeah. So they want to tell people about it. That's what these people did. That's what they did. They were scattered because persecution, right? And they just told people. Mission continues. Mission continued. All right, now where did they go? Philip went to the city in Samaria. You'd be like, Pastor, what's wrong with Samaria? I mean, hello, it's just another city. Oh, no. If you're an ancient Jew, you heard the word Samaria, you went, Did you just say Samaria? Those are people on the other side of the tracks. Those are the bad people. Those are the people that you do not want to associate with. I mean, look, stay here. Stay among the right kind of people. But I don't know, but those are the wrong kind of people. You know what I'm talking about? They're the wrong kind of people. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Well, guess what? Philip didn't get the memo. So Philip goes over to the other side of the tracks. He goes over to Samaria of all things. So I wish we could have, like, audience participation sometimes. So if I was to Samaria, you all go boo. So Philip goes to Samaria. Yeah. That's the idea. You see what I'm? Oh yes. Question. Excellent question. Is the region of Bashan and Samaria? Excellent question. I won't get into it right now, but you ought to look it up because it's fascinating. All right, brilliant. Oh, look at that. We just created a bit of curiosity. Good. That's what Philip did, by the way. He created curiosity. How did he do that? Well, I'll tell you. And the reason I'm saying that, by the way, that was not a plant. I didn't give her like $20 to raise her hand to do that, okay? I just said you all know. All right, it just happened. Thank you, Lord. But it fits right into the next text, because in verse 6, we see that Philip brought a message. He said some things, but then what he did, he did some things. So he said some things and he did some things. And those things that he did, people go, oh, hey, did you hear about that guy? You know, that new guy that's in town? In the town of Samaria? Yeah. So the new guy in town, he sets a bunch of stuff. And not only that, he did a bunch of stuff. And this bunch of stuff is amazing. Oh, really? Tell me more. Let's go see him. So there's curiosity taking place. There was a curiosity, and not only that, but a real seeking after this person, after Philip. And why is there a real seeking? Well, it's because people are hurting. You know, that's not unlike today. People are seeking. People are hurting. I remember I was talking to one individual, and all I did is, and you know, we were working on, you know, some stuff, and all I did, I said, hey, honest conversation, how are you? And that person just looked me in the eye, and you could see their eyes change. They became a little more glossy. And I said, I really do want to know, how are you? And the very fact that that question took place, they unloaded. People are hurting. Some of us are hurting. You might be like, Pastor, it's easy for you to see. You just busted your hand. Your hand is throbbing right now, so of course you're hurting. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. People are seeking healing. People are seeking that relief. So here's Philip, presented a message, he said something, and did a bunch of stuff, the signs. Now, what did he do? We're told in verse 7 that impure spirits came out of many. And I want you guys to think about that, because impure spirits is a real thing. Impure spirits is not just the stuff of fantasy. Impure spirits happen. And how do they happen? Well, they happen with bait and switch. And bait and switch, and that's what the dark forces will do. Bait and switch, they'll come in. They'll present themselves as something that's attractive, something that's good, something that you deserve. And not only do you deserve it, but you know what? You're worth it. I mean, my goodness, you work so hard. If you work so hard, shouldn't you? I mean, my goodness, you know, these Christian people, these church people, they're so stiff. They want you to have a killjoy kind of life. So, exactly. You tell them. See what I'm talking about? My next level preachers right there? I love that. All right? You listen to her. All right? Because when the shine goes away, when the reality unfolds, that person that thought, well, I deserve it. I deserve that extra drink. And that extra drink went to another and to another and to another. And the next morning you wake up like this. And if you continue for a while, you realize that you cannot go through life except with that drink. And then not only that, but you realize that the life around you is beginning to crumble because you're neglecting family, work, and other friends' situation. And all of a sudden, instead of having a wonderful freedom because of that drink, by the way, fill in the blank. Don't say drink, say whatever. Say shopping, say pornography, say whatever is that thing that is not quite aligning with the harmony of the Most High God. See, when God created the world, He created a harmony. And that harmony says, look, if you really want to have the best life in the world, what you got to do is you got to align with the harmony, this harmony that I created in the entire cosmos. So this harmony is the way you ought to consider living your life. But the dark forces says, that's too restrictive. Go have freedom. Freedom. Do whatever you want. Say whatever you want. And that very bait and switch takes you down a path to where you realize you're in bondage and you're hostage. And this hostage situation requires a SWAT team. When we read impure spirits in many, think that. Think bondage. Think oppression that perhaps started with being open to, oh, well, hey. Don't play with things that you don't understand. I can mention Ouija boards and all sorts of things. Well, so here they are. Here's Philip engaging in here. And what I love about verse 7 is there's two sides of a coin here. On one side, he tells us, the text tells us that there's these impure spirits that come out of many. And then the next side is the fact that he handled physical ailments. People were paralyzed. People were lame. If I was there, I'd probably be going to Philip and saying, I have a boo-boo. Can you fix my boo-boo? Yeah, I'd probably be doing that too. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. He brought the message. He did a few things. He did things that brought healing, spiritual healing, and physical healing. Do you see that? The two sides of the coin? Impure spirits represents the spiritual side. Physical, paralytics and people that were lame, that's the physical side of the coin. And he brought healing of both kinds. The result? Yes! Sometimes we think of joy in the Bible like, and they were joyful. No! I mean, my goodness, if you cannot walk and all of a sudden you can, you're not going to be joyful. You're going to be, oh my gosh, I can walk. Can you imagine? And you're going to go to your neighbors and you're going to be like, look at me. And all of a sudden they spread like wildfire in the city. That's what happened in the text. I know sometimes we read the Bible and it feels very sterile, but see, we got to read the Bible with our imagination. We got to think there was great joy in the city. I wonder if there were like people, jumping around. I wonder if they, they brought their instruments out, started singing and praising God and doing all this stuff, like, laughing. He's like, oh yeah, and then I went over there, and then he said this, and all of a sudden I could walk. Wow, great. Hey, come over here, tell the story to my neighbors. Do you feel the vibrancy of obedience to the message of the gospel? Gospel is good news. And that's what happened. This is the text. Okay, so what do we do? I mean, I don't know. I mean, do we go around making, doing exorcisms and all that kind of stuff? Well, in some places, yeah. But what I like to do is I like to point out to two applications that we can take on for today in our 21st century. Two applications. The very first application is the focus, our focus. I'll tell you what the dark side wants. The dark side wants our focus not on mission. The dark side wants to focus on self, on all the problems in a negative way, and so that you can go in there and just kick and say and do, and I'm going to post this on social media. Let me, and then do that, and you're like, oh my gosh, and look at that idiot. I'm going to give him just horrible things. The dark forces want us to focus on everything else, anything else except God, the mission, His harmony, the Most High God, Lord Jesus. So our focus ought to be just laser beam on the good news of new life in Jesus. Anything that we say, anything that we do, we've got to bring all that together in a way that communicates. Listen, stressed out people. Listen, I know the society, it is like it is. I know social media, it is like it is. But what I can tell you for a fact is that we can have a new life. You all can have a brand new life that is so much better than what you're seeing around. Isn't that amazing? That's the good news. That's the gospel. So of course the question, well, really? How do we do that? Well, it's all about the harmony of God and the one through whom we can have this new life. Jesus of Nazareth is the only way that I know of. He himself has said, look, I know some of you have tried all sorts of things. They don't work too well, do they? I mean, they might work for a while, but they don't work. Lasting, forever. Last night, my finger was bad, and I was hurting, I was moaning and complaining, and, was I pretty bad? So. Apparently I was so. Not too moaning and not too bad. But I decided, you know what? I have this ointment that I was given. By the way, that thing is amazing, because it's a local thing, and somebody gave me, and I put a little bit on it. It's like, you know what? I wonder if it'll work. But I don't think ointment takes care of a fracture, right? Not really. You got to handle the fracture. All right. It's from the inside out. Thank you, Anissa. Anissa says it's from the inside. She's right. So sometimes we think that these temporary remedies might help us with the deepest problems of life. That's what the dark forces want you to focus on. Anything but. Anything but. I'll listen to anything except, the answer is anything except Jesus. That'd be like me going to a math teacher. I said, hey, how much is 2 plus 2? Well, that's relative. No. I will accept any answer except 4. So tell me, how much is 2 plus 2? But I will not accept 4. Okay. Figure that one out. And what we need to do, what our life ought to be focused on, is the good news of new life in Jesus, both spiritual and physical. Both spiritual and physical. Sometimes we make the effort on the spiritual side, and then we neglect the physical side. And sometimes we go down the physical route and say, we gotta be focused physically, but we neglect the spiritual side. Both is part of one person. So what do we do here? What can you do here? Well, we do have acts of kindness every third Sunday of the month. Every third Sunday, instead of a robe, I put on a worker's orange. No, is it orange or is it yellow? It's like a construction worker's vest. That's my vestment on the third Sunday of the month. Why? To remind people, to remind you, and to remind me that we ought to go and work for healing. And I think, Dan's going to tell you all about the next Acts of Kindness worship service. But here's the thing, blessing bags. The reason you see these bags right here on the end of your pews, those are bags of essentials. Essential items that a person that might be by a stoplight holding a sign could use. Take them with you. It would be so easy for us to just give this to a shelter somewhere. These are essentials. Socks, deodorant. I remember one young man that I picked up because he was homeless, and I was going to give him a ride to a place. He's like, can we keep the windows open because I stink? I've not bathed in so long, and I stink. And I said, yeah, we can keep the windows open. And I asked him a question. I said, when was the last time you were treated as a human being? He started crying. I think this will tell them that they're human beings and that we care. So when you see a person holding a sign or you see a person walking by, please have the courage to hand this to them. Take these with you. Take them with you. I have a few in my car. I've heard Dan, I think Dan passed one this week already. But we used to have like 60 in here. Now there's less than 60. Right? So please, this is part of a healing that we can offer, ever so small. It's okay. But let me tell you, the small things people remember. Do this. Do you remember a teacher or a neighbor or somebody close to you that was kind to you in a moment of need? That said just the right thing for you to say, I can do this. I can move forward. I can heal. So perhaps these bags might be a true blessing. These blessing bags. We have Bible study. Jenny mentioned Bible study. That's on the spiritual side. You've got to know how to focus on the mission. Bible study is an amazing place to start. I love the fact that more than half of the people, I think last year's study, more than half the people, it was first time in the Bible study. That was brilliant. That was beautiful. And even this time around, we have people that have not done Bible study. Here's another thing that you can do to focus on the mission, to stay on point, to be able to be prepared for the good news, this new life. Every Sunday, we get together, and I bring the Word. I go through this text, and I tell you what the text says in context. I tell you how we apply it, and I give you some action items. That alone, that preaching of the Word, reminds us to focus on mission. But it's more than just our focus. It's our lifestyle. Let me explain. Our lifestyle needs the courage to step across the tracks. We need the courage to do what Phillip did. Phillip went to Samaria. Yeah, Boo is right. Okay, so we need to have our lifestyle of courage to step across the tracks. All right, courage is one. What's another one? How about conversation? We need to have a lifestyle of conversation so the message of the gospel is put out. I mean, how will people know unless we tell them? How will we be able to be the messengers of God if when it comes time to deliver the message, it's zip, nothing? See my point? We've got to have the courage and the conversation. You know what else we need? We need commitment. So you got your courage? Yeah! You have a conversation. Ooh, I'm so timid, but you know what? Maybe I can say a few words. I don't have to say much. That's okay. And now we'll talk about commitment. The commitment, when we talk about a lifestyle, it's a personal alignment with the harmony of God. And not only that, but it's bringing healing and new life to others. That's what Phillip did. Personal alignment, commitment. Lord, from now on, I really want to align with your harmony. I may not understand it all. As a matter of fact, I don't understand it all. But I know that by aligning with you, I will not be drawn into the bait and switch of the dark side. So help me personally align with your harmony. And not only that, Lord, but I know you have come here to bring healing to this world, a new life. Help me make a commitment to bring healing. Help me to bring a new life to others. You might say, but I'm not a doctor. What can I do to bring healing? Well, maybe start with one of these bags. All right, so let's talk about actions. What can you do? Well, the first thing is it's the first step, really. It's learn the message of the gospel. If the gospel is good news, learn what good news is all about. How do you do that? Well, I already mentioned the Bible study, and I already mentioned the Sunday gathering. And you don't have to know much. I mean, look, I'll tell you a secret. You ready? Lean in. I'm going to tell you a secret. Here's the secret. A lot of people think that you have to learn a lot about the Bible in order to live it out. How about this? How about whatever you know, even if it's this much, about the messages of the gospel, how about we start living that out first? Don't worry about the rest. It'll come. So what if we start living the message? Whatever we know. You know that love thy neighbor thing? Maybe we start there. But Pastor, you haven't met my neighbors. You haven't met my neighbors. Hi, neighbors. Gary, you're watching online. Hi. Do you understand? The first action, the first step, the first step is know the gospel, know the message. What does it say? And that's how you do it. And then you live that out, whatever you know. So if you've been thinking about Bible study, come on in. If you're thinking like, hey, you know what, I'm sort of, yeah, maybe Sunday mornings might be a commitment for you. Okay, here's a second thing you can do. Remember I talked about conversation? Maybe practice that. Well, how do you do that? Well, I don't know. Maybe practice the conversation and start small. Look, I'm not going to ask you all to come over here or go on the street corner and give a 3-point sermon outlined with illustrations, cross-reference in the Bible text, and with a lot of good exegesis and whatever big words I can throw in there, to impress you with that. No. Could be a conversation. Look, have you met those people that sort of let it slip out once in a while? They let one slip out. You're in the conversation. This happens to me all the time, by the way. I'm in a conversation, a person says, and then they slip on. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Pastor. Well, I'm sorry. Well, if we are followers of Jesus, why don't we let it slip out? What? Our faith, our Christianity, our following of the Lord. Let us slip out also. Let it ooze out a little bit every once in a while. Don't be so guarded. On Sunday, I am so blessed by the Lord because I have received so much. Monday morning, yeah, man, I got lucky. Here's what happened. No. How about ooze out your faith? I mean, listen, if they can have one slip out, why can't we? Let it ooze out. Whatever's inside your heart that the Lord put in there, it's okay. You don't have to make big speeches. Small words. Small phrases. Be wise. But practice that conversation. That small conversation. All right, here's another third action item. Look for where God's Spirit is bringing healing next. Train your eyes, train your mind to look for where God is bringing healing, and maybe, just maybe, you get to be part of it. Just maybe. And let me tell you, when you get to be part of it, it's like, whoa, sweetness! That's amazing. To see a person literally breaking and then taking one step towards the Most High God. And you can actually physically see the healing taking place. It blows your mind. It's beautiful. I've been given permission to mention this to you, but the gentleman that did a lot of work here, this ramp that was built, all the stuff built there, the bathrooms back here, the framing. The gentleman's name is Javier. And Javier lost his son a few days back. And in conversations with him, small conversations, by the way, I had the privilege of woozing out the new life. I had the privilege of woozing out some healing. And I'll tell you, it's amazing. Because I could see the Lord bringing Javier and his family. And please pray for him. The family is hurting right now to lose a son and to lose a brother. But I can begin to see that the Lord is bringing healing little by little. So look for where God's Spirit is bringing healing. Recognize that. And maybe, just maybe, you might be part of it. How? Well, you got to know the message. But Pastor, wasn't that the first action item that you told us? Yes. And after you know the message, maybe you practice the conversation. Yeah. And after a bit of conversation, maybe look for the next place where God is bringing healing. And in order to do that, you got to know the message. You see where I'm going with this? You got to do it over and over. Nobody has ever become an Olympic swimmer by doing one lap. You got to do it over and over and over and over. That's why we call it practice. That's why we call it apprenticeship to the Most High King. By the way, other circles, other churches call it discipleship. Disciple, apprentice is the same word. Apprenticeship. Do it again. So pick something today. Pick something of everything that I've said. Oh my gosh, Pastor, you've said so much. Too much. I know. Pick something. Pick one thing that you think you can do this week. And do it. And try it again. And do it some more. And by God's grace, I can guarantee you that by doing that, you will sense, your eyes will be open to see God around you, to see His hand, His Spirit drawing you step by step. He's always there. We just don't see Him. So let's do that.